Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this info session on the Bexar County Small Business and Nonprofit Assistance Programs. We'll give everyone just a few minutes to join, and then we'll go ahead and get started. We're delighted that we have close to 300 people registered for the session today, and folks are pouring in, so we'll give them another minute or so. Okay, well, we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am so happy here at the very end of the year to be sharing this exciting news to kick off 2023 with. Today, we'll be talking about the wonderful small business and nonprofit grant programs for Bexar County organizations and small businesses. And we will, this session is bilingual, so if your preferred language is Spanish, you can click the interpretation button that looks like a small globe at the bottom of your screen, and then select Spanish as your language, and you'll hear the presentation in Spanish. And Valerie?
Esta va a ser una sesión bilingüe. Si quieren escuchar en español, lo que necesitan hacer es ver en los controles de la reunión. Se va a ver un símbolo del mundo donde dice interpretación. Pueden hacer clic el idioma que deseen escuchar, ya sea español o inglés. Y para escuchar solo el idioma interpretado, hagan clic en silenciar audio original. Esto es opcional para ustedes.
Thank you, Valerie. To introduce myself, my name is Lilian Spenley. I am the Grant Programs and Operations Manager here at Lift Fund, and we are so grateful to the county for their continued support of small businesses and nonprofits throughout this long pandemic. Since the very beginning in March 2020, when things first really broke out, they were right there figuring out ways to provide assistance to businesses and organizations in need, and they've continued to be there throughout this whole experience that we've all gone through. So I'm so grateful to and pleased to have Thomas Guevara here with us today. He's the Chief of Staff with the Office of the County Manager to share some remarks from the county and a welcome. Thank you, Thomas, very much.
Thank you, and thank you again for that kind introduction. And good morning, everybody. On behalf of Bexar County Commissioners Court, I want to thank you for joining us today as we kick off Bexar County Small Business and Nonprofit COVID Assistance Program. In October, Commissioners Court directed county staff to enter into an agreement with Lift Fund to manage this important program. Lift Fund has the experience to ensure that we have not only a successful program, but most importantly, that we as a community can continue to recover from the economic impacts caused by COVID-19. So Bexar County wants to remind each and every one of you that we stand and will remain committed to our small business community and our nonprofits, and we wish each of you a happy and prosperous new year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Well, we will jump right in. Today, we're going to go through the requirements of the program for both the nonprofits and the small businesses, the required documents. We'll take a look at the website to show you where you can find all of this information after this session is over. The recording from this session will be posted next week on the site, so you're always welcome to go back and re-review it as well. And we'll definitely take questions. A few of you have already begun to post in the Q&A, so we appreciate that, and we'll get to as many of those questions as we can throughout the session. Thank you so much. And to jump right in, so an overview of the program, the county has allocated $10 million in program support for small businesses and an additional $10 million for nonprofits. For both programs, the grants will range between $10,000 and $50,000. All completed applications will be reviewed based on the criteria that we're about to go through. So the timeline for this program, as we mentioned, the application will open on Tuesday, January 3rd, next week at 10 a.m. So you can be by your computer at 9:59 and we'll be ready to open. The application will close at 5 p.m. exactly on January 20th. So please start your application before the last day. Don't wait till the last minute to get it in. That will be a hard cutoff date. And so if the application is not submitted by 5 p.m. on the 20th, it will not be able to be considered. Once the application closes, we'll begin our review process, and that will go on until May 1st. So it'll start at the end of January and go to May 1st. All applications will be scored based on some criteria that we'll share in the coming slides. And so the highest scoring applications will be reviewed and considered first, and going on down to those lower scoring applications. So the higher your application scores, the earlier you may hear from us in that process. Then in mid-February, as we have our first batch of approvals, we'll begin sending out award notifications by DocuSign, and those will continue until early May. So if you don't hear anything in February, not to worry. As we can see, the application review process is extended over a few months. And then, of course, shortly after those approval notifications begin, then funding will begin in late February and continue until mid-May, when all the program funds will be exhausted and closed out. So the funds can be used for really any nonprofit or business related expense. So payroll, working capital, business rent, inventory, supplies, other kind of general operating costs. It's pretty open to be used as you need best. Each applicant and each business can only receive one grant. So if you have multiple businesses or multiple organizations, you'll need to select one grant, or one of them to submit the application for. And if you have one business with multiple locations, you'll need to submit the application for just one of those locations. And so we'll go through and I'll share for each, the small business criteria, and then the nonprofit for each section of the presentation. So for small businesses, the gross sales in either 2020 or 2021 must be less than your gross sales in 2019. For small businesses, your gross sales in 2019 must be between 10,000 and no more than 3 million. You have to have been operating on or before January 1, 2020. And operating means that on your 2019 tax return, there's some positive dollar amount. So we need to see some activity in 2019, some financial activity with sales to show that you were operating. And then you'll need to currently be operating still as of January 3rd, 2023. not have filed for bankruptcy at the time of the application. You'll need to be in good standing with the Texas Comptroller's Office. So if you're a LLC or a corporation, I highly encourage you to go on the site today and just check that your status shows as active. If it shows as forfeited or anything besides active, definitely reach out to the Comptroller's Office now to kind of get that straightened out in preparation for this application. Of course, you'll need to be within the county limits. You'll need to be the majority owner of the business. So if you have multiple partners, whichever partner has the majority stake, that's the person who should submit the application. If you're divided, 50-50% split or 33, and 33, any of the equal partners are welcome to apply. The business should not complete any activities that are, gambling related, sexually oriented, payday lenders, or real estate investment. And there's a short list of businesses that are ineligible to apply based on their NAICS or their business activity code. And we can see those here on this screen. And those are just the ones that I've just discussed. So gambling, real estate investment, that type of thing. So if your business does one of these activities, you would not be eligible. Otherwise, everyone else is qualified. And the same list goes for nonprofits, although there really aren't too many nonprofits that do these type of things. So for nonprofits, the qualifications are very similar. So you must have your 501c3 designation. For each of the 3 years, your total annual revenue needs to be between $50,000 and $3 million. The total annual revenue in either 2020 or 2021 should be less than that in 2019. Again, you'll need to be operating on or before January 1, 2020. And as with the small businesses, operating is just defined as having a positive amount of annual revenue in that year, in 2019. And then, of course, to be currently operational, not have filed for bankruptcy, to be in good standing, again, with the Comptroller's Office, to be within the county limits. You must be an authorized representative of the business, so someone who's qualified to be submitting applications for the business. This here is a typo. Of course, nonprofits are qualified. Apologies for that. We'll have that removed. But again, can't be in any of these industries. And then the NAICS codes are those that we just showed. So your NAICS code on your tax return can't be one of these 10 or so codes. Back to the small businesses. So the documents that are going to be requested will be your current driver's license or government issued photo ID. If your license has expired, please go now and get your license renewed or updated because we will need to see a current license. We'll need your business formation document. So that might be your DBA or assumed name certificate with the county, or your certificate of formation or incorporation if you're an LLC or corporation, and that's filed with the Secretary of State. Please don't send us your sales tax and use permit, your EIN letter. We may need, but that won't count as your formation document. So please be sure to dig that out of the file, whatever file you have it in now. We'll need a current utility bill for the business. If you're home-based, that's not a problem. We can take a home utility bill. We'll need the 2019, 2020, and 2021 business tax returns. So that's a Schedule C for sole proprietors, or an 1120, 1120S, or 1065 for the other structures for LLCs and corporations and partnerships. For 2019 and 2020, they do need to be filed returns. So they can't be stated returns that you've prepared but haven't submitted. We need to see those filed returns. For 2021, we can be more flexible in accepting a stated return or a profit and loss statement. For if you have not filed the 2021 return, we do prefer that filed return, but again, can be more flexible on this most recent year. We'll need to see your most recent business bank statement, and there we'll be looking to see that you have some amount of deposits that are business related, so not a transfer from a checking account or a savings account, or somebody paid you through Zelle for something separate from the business. We really want to see, activity that's sales related for your business. And then if you are a veteran, a copy of your DD 214. For the nonprofits, the required document list will be pretty similar. So a driver's license for your executive director, your president, your CEO, whoever is that top position within your organization. The formation documents filed with the Secretary of State, your 501c3 determination letter, your most recent utility bill for the organization. If you are a home-based nonprofit, then again, the home bill is fine. And then your 2019, 2020, and 2021 tax returns for nonprofits. Of course, this is a 990 or 990 EZ. We do, as with the small businesses, need to see those filed returns for 19 and 20. We can also be a little bit more flexible for 2021. If your organization is earning less than $50,000 in revenue, you probably file that postcard version of the 990. Unfortunately, you won't meet the requirements for this program of having that minimum 50,000 in annual revenue and in having the 990 or the 990 EZ. We'll need your most recent bank statement for the organization. And then lastly, your fourth quarter of 2022 Form 941 or payroll report. So if you haven't filed your 941 yet, by the time the application opens for this current quarter, that's fine. We can take, a QuickBooks report or whatever other system you use for payroll. So not a problem. Both of the programs will have a scoring system, as I mentioned. For the small businesses, it's going to be based really on two factors. So there's a maximum of 30 points. Women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses will receive some points for each of those categories. And then if you're located in a suburban or unincorporated area, you'll also receive points. Now, we have some questions on what suburban and unincorporated means. So essentially that means that you are within the county, but not within the city. So, that may be Converse or Lotes or Alamo Heights or, those areas that are not city of San Antonio, but still within the county. On the nonprofit side, the scoring will be based on 3 different categories or factors with a maximum of 50 points. So those that are located in a qualified census tract, and those are qualified census tracts are those determined by the IRS. So that's a federal determination. Those with 20 or fewer full-time employees, and those who submitted an application during the 2021 Bexar County Notice of Funding Availability application round will also receive some priority. So the application process, you'll apply online on January 3rd. The website, Bexar County Grants, is already live, and you can review all this information there. And then on January 3rd at 10 a.m., you'll see a button right at the top that says, apply now, and you'll be able to select, there will be one button for the small businesses and one button for the nonprofits. The application takes about 30 minutes to an hour to complete. You can do it, you don't have to do it all in one sitting, so you can start and save your work and come back if you need to, but certainly if you're able to just sit down and knock it out, it's easier that way. You will need to have all of the documentation requested in order to be able to submit the application. So we definitely encourage everyone to gather those pieces now before the application opens, so you'll be ready to go once you begin your application. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to Lift Fund. We have a dedicated phone number for this, for the grants, which is 800-923-9551. And you're also welcome to email sbgrants@liftfund.com. And we're usually pretty fast to reply to those within 24 to 48 hours. We'll also have 4 community partners to assist interested applicants with the application. Those 4 are Culturalingua, Prosper West, the San Antonio Area Foundation, with for them certainly a special focus on the nonprofits, and then the Women's Business Center. We'll have all of the contact information for these organizations on the website shortly or by the 3rd, so that you're able to reach out to make an appointment if you're wanting in-person assistance, or you can also call or email these organizations at any point during the application period. Some additional resources in case you're looking for other opportunities. Certainly Lift Fund offers low interest loans. We do have 0% interest loans right now through a program with the City of San Antonio. We have our business support team with free classes and in-person assistance, consultations, and online courses. And you can see a full schedule of those workshops coming up at liftfund.com/events. And as I mentioned, all of this is available on the website. So we'll go right now and take a look at the website. So this is what you'll see when you go to bearcountygrants.com. You'll see there are 2 sections, one for nonprofits here in orange and one for for-profit businesses, small businesses here in this kind of turquoise color. So we'll take a look at each. On the small business side, and I should mention for any of these pages, you're welcome to click the Espanol button at the top and translate these pages into Spanish if that is your preferred language. So here, just a reminder of the application period. Again, it'll be closing right at 5 p.m. on January 20th, so please don't wait till the last minute to apply. The grants will be from $10,000 to $50,000. This table will explain how the grant amount is awarded, which is based on the net revenue. So to determine your eligibility to see if you've had those losses, we're looking at the gross sales. But to determine the award amount, we are looking at the net revenue. So that's an important distinction. Again, one application per business owner. We have all of the eligibility requirements here. You will need to meet the SBA size standards for small businesses, and you can see that table here. So for every NAICS code or business activity code, there's either a dollar, and these are in the millions, a dollar limit, or in some cases, an number of employees limits. I won't read through these line by line as we covered these earlier in the presentation, but just a refresher on what the requirements are. You can, if you're not sure whether you're within the county, you can click here on this link and type in your street name, and then, for example, I'll put in Lift Fund's address, and put in the full address. You'll only need to put in the street name. Here we go. And you'll find the street range for your address. And as long as where it says county commissioner, if you see some precinct number 1 through 4, then you're within the county. And again, just to underscore that for the small business side, the applicant must be the majority owner of the business. The list of required documents is listed here. The scoring methodology is here for you to refer back to. The timeline showing, again, the application period followed by the review period, The notification period and the funding disbursement period is all here. Recipients will be asked to complete a follow-up survey in May 2024 and May 2025. So just make a little calendar note of that if you are selected to complete that information. And then we have some additional resources here for utilities. We have these, and then we have some additional grants that are not through Live Fund necessarily, but just other opportunities depending on what type of business you have. We have 2 additional info sessions coming up on January 6th and January 17th. So you're welcome to attend those. It will be the same information being covered today. And then, as I mentioned, we will have all of the contact information for our 4 community partners that can offer in-person assistance listed here shortly by the application opening. We also have just a few FAQs, and so I'll go through these very quickly. So sole proprietors are eligible as long as you have a registered DBA or assumed name certificate. If you don't have a DBA currently, I highly recommend that you'll go out now to get one with the county clerk's office. You can do this online or in person, but definitely recommend that you get that taken care of now so that you'll be ready when the application opens. If your gross sales in 2020 were lower than 2019, apologies, but 2021 was higher than 2019, you are still eligible, or vice versa. So 2020 higher than 19, but 2021 lower. If either of those years are lower than 2019, you are eligible. If you're located outside the county, but you serve customers in the county, unfortunately, you would not be eligible. Your business needs to be physically located in the county. If you have 2 businesses, you'll need to select one of them to submit the application for. You can receive assistance from someone else with the application, for example, a CPA, but we definitely want to discourage you from working with anyone who will charge you to fill out the application. This application is free, and someone who is charging you may, not be a vetted or reliable, trustworthy party. So we definitely recommend that you work with, someone that you trust, or one of our 4 partners who have been trained and are vetted to work with applicants on this program. If you are selected, this is a grant, so it's not a loan. You don't have to pay it back. If your documents, your formation documents or your tax return show a PO box or a different address than where you are currently, that's not a problem. We'll be verifying your address based on the utility bill. If you don't get a utility bill, then we're happy to take a lease agreement, just something that's showing us where the business is located. And if you've already received COVID funding, a grant program or loan program in the past, for example, PPP, EIDL, another grant program that was administered by Live Fund or any other community partner, that does not disqualify you. And then again, if you have questions, feel free to call us at 800-923-9551 or email sbgrants@liftfund.com. I'll hop over now to the nonprofit page, which is very similar. So again, the award amount is determined in the same way. Eligibility requirements, I won't read through these again, but you've got them here. The primary difference for the nonprofits from the small businesses is that the minimum gross sales must be $50,000 versus $10,000, and you must, of course, have your 501c3 nonprofit designation. The list of required documents here as well, just a short list, 7 items, 3 returns and 6 other items. The scoring, again, is here for you to refer to. The timeline is the exact same as for the small business program. and the follow-up, if you are selected, will be the same. The additional resources here. Many of these are going to be small grants for small businesses, but there may be some that are open to nonprofits as well. These the additional webinars are listed here. And then, the FAQ, very similar on the small business side. So I will pause there, and I see we've had a lot of activity in the chat. And so let's take a minute here to answer some of your questions, and please keep sending them as you think of them. So yes, the presentation will be posted next week, a recording of the session on the website. Let's see. So we had a question. This grant is separate from any grants that have been administered before, so we do not have a list of previous grant winners. For the information on the 0% interest loans, great question. You can call Lift Fund at 888-215-2373, and I'll post that message here in the chat. And you're welcome to call, and we have our loan officers, lending team ready to share that information with you. So thank you for that question. And I am posting that here. So this is for Lift Fund's main phone number about our loan products. Okay. And then, so that's that. Yes, and the application is available on the website in Spanish. As you saw, the application itself also will be available to complete in Spanish. So we have that resource as well. And then all of the partners, the 4 partners, will be able to offer assistance in Spanish or English. So if you'd like that help there, that's available. Let's see. The net revenue for the nonprofits, great question. That will be listed on I can tell you, it's going to depend on your which type of tax return you fill out, the 990 or the 990 EZ. But when you're filling out the application, there will be a page that's related to financials and budget. And when you select which type of return you complete, it will tell you how to identify that line for the net revenue. So you'll see that it'll guide you as you fill out the application. No, this is a great question. So if you've been established for a number of years, but you only recently moved into the county, that's fine, as long as we can verify that your current address is within Bexar County. And of course that you are registered either with the county or with the state of Texas, versus if you were coming from another state, we would need to see your Texas registration. The scoring does not have any bearing on the amount of funding you received. The amount is solely determined by the amount of net, sales or revenue that you have. The scoring will only determine the order in which your application is received. So higher scoring applicants will be considered first. We won't be sending out an email after this presentation, but you'll be able to see the slides and the information next week. We'll have it posted. If you have an LLC, you do not also need a DBA. The LLC formation documents are perfectly fine. Yes. So as soon as we have the contact information for the 4 partners on the website, we'll also include a map so that you're able to determine which partner is closest to you and most convenient to access. That's a great question. Let's see, I'm just going to leave the screen here back on the homepage. Okay. Yes, if the net revenue was negative in 2019, so for determining whether you're eligible, we're again looking at the gross sales. So gross sales in 2020 or 21 need to be higher than 2019 to be able to be eligible. But then to determine the award amount, if your net revenue is negative, then your award amount will be in this category, so a maximum of 10,000. Yes, so businesses in elotes would qualify as long as you're located within the county. Let's see here. For tips or leads for small businesses looking for grants who are startups who may not have, started operating before that January 1, 2020 deadline, I would certainly check out the other resources, additional resources section of the website. And then you can also schedule an appointment with our 2 of LiftFund's free business coaching centers. So one is the Launch SA or the Women's Business Center. And they may be able to offer additional guidance or resources. All of their information to schedule appointments for them is also listed on LiftFund's website. If you have both a nonprofit organization and a small business organization, you would need to select one of those to submit the application for. We would only consider one. That's a great question. Okay. A number of questions and interest on resources for small businesses. So as I mentioned, definitely check out the additional resources section or contact a Launch SA or the Women's Business Center for assistance. Yes, so for nonprofits, if you did not submit during the 2021 NOFA application period, you're certainly still eligible to apply. It's just that those who did submit that application will be given priority within the scoring system, but certainly not a requirement for application. Okay. So the census tract which is a part of the nonprofit program scoring. So businesses located in those qualified census tracts. So those are census tracts determined by the IRS will receive a priority within the scoring methodology. Yes, a few other questions on having the presentation available after the call, and it will be posted next week, both the recording and the slides. Yes, if you opened your business in 2019, so weren't open the full year, but were open for a part of it, you are eligible as long as your 2019 gross sales are higher than either the gross sales in 2020 or 2021. Great question. I know there are a lot of businesses that got started right before everything sort of crashed. Unfortunately, so in the same vein, unfortunately, businesses who started after January 1, 2020 would not be eligible. So if you got started later in the year in 2020 or 2021 or even 2022, you would unfortunately not be eligible for this. Yes, so sole proprietors are certainly eligible. You will just need to go get that DBA filed with the county clerk. Yes, question on the eligible industries. All other, besides those that are listed here on this screen, are eligible. So as long as you are not seeing your NAICS code here, you are eligible to apply. Yes, so questions on the scoring. Again, for each side, the small business and the nonprofit side, the scoring is a little bit different, but you can see here on the website, what points you might be allocated depending on which of these things that you qualify for. Yes, for nonprofits, for the 990s, we will need all pages of the return. Great question. And I'll go ahead and answer that on the small business side as well. So if you're a sole proprietor, we'll only need the 2 pages of your Schedule C. If you are an LLC or corporation, we'll need all pages of those returns, the 1120, 1120S, or 1065. Where do you find the other resources available? So that's on the website. Here, it's close to the bottom of the page, just above the info sessions in this section called Additional Resources, and it's located in the same place on the nonprofit side of the website. Okay. Let's see. Yes. So this is a really great question. More questions on the distinction between gross and net. So if you had a reduction in gross sales between 2020 and 2019, for example, so 2020 is lower than 2019, but your 2020 net is higher than 2019, that's perfectly fine. You would be eligible, assuming all the other criteria are met, and the net revenue will simply determine how much of a grant you can qualify for. So looking at this table, these will be the maximum amounts, based on these net revenue ranges. Yes, and so for the scoring, the maximum points on the small business side will be 30, and on the nonprofit side, it will be 50. Okay, lots of great questions. We love all of this interest. Please continue to ask your questions, and we're just going to go back through and make sure that we have answered everything. And if we don't answer your question today, feel free to reach out to sbgrants@liftfund.com or 800-923-9551, and we'll be happy to chat with you one-on-one that way. We have a question here. If you were starting up your business in 2018, 2019, and were doing work for the business and having expenses and all of that, would you be eligible to apply? So it's going to be totally based on if you had gross sales in 2019 that are higher than either 2020 or 2021. So if you maybe we're still in the startup phase and had a lot of expenses and we're doing work but didn't have sales coming in yet, you would not be eligible. If you did have some sales and they're higher than either 2020 or 2021, you would be eligible. Let's see. Independent contractors, who again will be like sole proprietors, are eligible as long as you have your filed DBA. So definitely, if you don't, recommend that you reach out to the county, and you can do that online or in person and get that DBA filed. Okay, let's see here. Okay, we'll give everyone another minutes in case any other questions come to mind, but we're so glad that you all joined us today, and so grateful again to the county for providing this really crucial assistance as the situation continues to go on, and as we recover, to help people really move on to the next phase of their business for pandemic. Okay. It looks like we don't have any other questions, but again, I'll post here in the chat a number to call, which is 800-923-9551, or email sbgrants@liftfund.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have one-on-one. As I mentioned, the slides and the presentation will be posted to the website next week, and so you're welcome to be on the lookout for that. It'll be listed right here under this December 29th box. There will be links to those recordings there, so you're welcome to refer back, and we wish everyone the best of luck and look forward to working with you all over the next few weeks. Have a very happy new year, and please be safe and healthy. Thank you so much.